Hello friends, I am glad to see you again. Today I will tell you about a boss who wants the keys to his former house. When I first toured the pale yellow ranch that rims our sleepy lakeside subdivision, I pictured quiet evenings on the porch swing, not a certified letter taped to my front door like a scarlet badge. The envelope's red-inked second notice screamed at passing joggers. Inside, the Homeowners Association hereby demanded that I surrender 2 full sets of house keys within 24 hours, so that the association may perform routine inspections and emergency entries at its sole discretion. Failure, they wrote, would constitute an eviction-level breach. The signature, Randall, just Randall, flourished in fountain pen blue, bracketed by the title HOA President. Randall also happened to be the guy who sold me the house 6 weeks earlier. During negotiations, he'd seemed genial, almost paternal. We sat at his pine kitchen table, coffees steaming, as he reminisced about teaching his daughter to ride a bike on the same cracked driveway. Closing day ended with a handshake strong enough to squeak the leather of my jacket sleeve. Then he pocketed his check and vanished into whatever retiring HOA presidents do. Probably golf carts and watercolors, I assumed. Wrong. Randall hadn't retired, he hadn't even paused. He simply moved 3 streets over into a bigger lakefront place and kept the association gavel. Apparently he'd designed the bylaws years ago, right down to the font size buried in the footnotes. I'm Cal, 31, commercial photographer by day, serial fixer-upper by night. I make my living shooting product stills for a regional outdoor gear company. Tripods, backpacks, titanium mugs. My job makes me obsessive about angles and shadows, which is probably why Randall's letter bothered me more than the dented mailbox or the leaning cedar fence. The letter's margins were too tight. The dateline crowded the salutation like a rude tourist in an elevator. Anyone that's sloppy with presentation is usually sloppy with substance. Still, eviction rattled me. Somewhere deep in the filing cabinet of my brain, a memory surfaced. An HOA really can slap liens, fine you daily, even snatch a home in extreme cases. I needed to be sure I hadn't missed a clause in the closing packet, so I spent Friday night sprawled on the living room floor. No furniture yet, surrounded by manila folders. The purchase contract, inspection report, title insurance binder, settlement statement. None mentioned turning over keys. The covenants, conditions, and restrictions, the dreaded CC and Rs, did include a sentence about access for exigent repairs, but only when the owner is unavailable or incapacitated. I was very available and far from incapacitated. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A new email, subject line, Key Compliance Countdown, arrived from Secretary at Lakeview Association. Same demand, copy-paste phrasing. A digital countdown timer ticked at the bottom, bright crimson numbers shrinking every second. The theatrics would have made a cable TV preacher proud. I closed the laptop before the minute hit 0 and flopped onto the air mattress. Outside, wind rattled the porch chimes I'd hung earlier. They clanged off the siding like alarm bells. Saturday at dawn, I drove 5 minutes to the county clerk's office. One perk of small-town life. They open early for anglers renewing boat permits. I pulled microfilm records on my lot, rolling the crank like an old-time movie projector. Nothing special. Our subdivision was platted in the 80s. The HOA charter had 2 amendments, both signed by Randall in curvy ink. I was alone except for a librarian restocking genealogical atlases. When she passed, she whistled at Randall's looping signature. "Pretty," she said. "Looks like he practiced." "Yeah," I muttered. Probably in his high school notebook, dotting hearts over the I's. Back home, as I muscled a dining table box up the porch steps, a champagne-colored SUV glided to the curb. Randall emerged in pressed khakis and a lemon polo, clipboard under one arm, disposable coffee in the other. He smiled with politician teeth. "Morning, Cal," he called, strutting up my walkway like he still owned the concrete. "Brought the standard occupancy inspection forms. Should take 10 minutes, tops." I planted the box on the porch. "I'm in the middle of moving. 10 minutes isn't possible." "No worries, I'll walk and talk." He lifted the clipboard, ready to unclip. "Randall, you sold me this place. You know I'm not required to hand you keys." He chuckled, a low, almost pitying sound. "Oh, you sweet summer child. Check the bylaws, Article 16. I did. It says you can enter for emergencies if I'm unavailable. I'm literally standing here." He jammed a finger toward the driveway where my old red Tacoma idled with hazards blinking. Fire hazard. Someone could steal it, crash into the hydrant. We'd need rapid house entry. That logic would let you in every time a pizza delivery parks on the street. Exactly. He clapped like I'd solved a riddle. Think of me as your community concierge. Before I could respond, a screen door slammed across the street. Lena, late 20s, yoga teacher, fierce ginger bun, jogged over in socks, waving a coffee mug. "Cal, you decent?" she shouted, working on it. She stopped next to us, eyes flicking from Randall to me. "You trying to bully the new guy already, Randy?" His smile thinned. "Good morning, Miss Grayson. Association business, nothing to do with you." "It does when you lurk on my sidewalk." She sipped her coffee. "Our sidewalks, technically." Randall's knuckles whitened on the clipboard. "Fine. Cal, final courtesy reminder, the board meets Monday night. Present keys or the eviction process begins." He strode off. The SUV's tires squealed, scattering gravel. Lena raised an eyebrow. "That man once fined me $50 because my Halloween skeleton threatened property values." A plastic skeleton. "I'm starting to see the pattern." She nodded toward my Tacoma. "Rumor is Randall wrote himself lifetime presidency into the bylaws. No term limits. The rest of the board are his golf buddies." I exhaled. "I might need backup. Any chance you know a real estate attorney?" "My cousin Mara. She's feisty and cheap." "Feisty I can pay for, cheap is a bonus." Monday evening I pulled into the clubhouse lot, Lena riding shotgun, her phone camera already filming for posterity. The building was faux colonial, white columns up front, but the paint peeled in long flakes. Apparently dues-funded letterhead, not maintenance. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed like insects. 5 board members sat behind a long folding table. Randall took center chair, a wooden gavel positioned like a scepter. A mini American flag drooped in a plastic stand. About a dozen homeowners filled metal chairs. I recognized exactly 0. Randall hit the gavel. "We'll begin with agenda item 1, non-compliant occupancy. Calvin." He gestured for me to stand. I rose, pulse hammering behind my ears. Lena gave me a thumbs up from row 2. Randall cleared his throat. "Per Article 16, Section B, homeowners must provide ingress access, i.e. keys, to the association. Mr. Calvin refused, thereby forfeiting occupancy rights." Murmurs rustled through the room. A man in a fishing vest raised a hand. "Why do we need people's keys? Last board said it wasn't required." Randall's nostrils flared. "The amendment passed last quarter. Consult your newsletters." I steadied my voice. "I've read every amendment filed at the county clerk's office. The latest is from 2 years ago, signed by you, about trash can placement. Nothing about keys." Head swiveled back to Randall. He coughed, fiddled with a manila folder, and pulled out a stapled packet. "Ah, this provisional update is pending recording. Adopted unanimously by the board." "No homeowners voted?" Lena piped up. "Board discretion is allowed under extraordinary circumstances," Randall said. "Selling your own house constitutes extraordinary?" I asked. The fishing vest guy laughed. A few others joined. Randall slammed the gavel. "Order, we will now vote to ratify. All in favor?" His 4 buddies' hands shot up. "Opposed?" 10 homeowners, including me and Lena, raised ours. Randall's grin returned. "Motion passes. Board majority supersedes general membership on policy matters. Paragraph 9 of the charter." Gasps. One woman whispered, "Since when?" I stepped forward. "Board majority can't override state property statutes. You're trying to create a landlord-tenant dynamic where none exists. That's constructive eviction under—" Randall drummed fingers on the table. "Unless legal counsel is present, we move on." Right on cue, the rear door opened. Mara strode in, black suit, messenger bag slung crossbody. She looked younger than me by 2 years, but commanded attention like a seasoned prosecutor. "Counsel is present," she announced, flashing her bar card. "I represent Mr. Calvin and several concerned residents." She handed copies of something to each board member. "That is a cease and desist regarding unlawful interference with quiet enjoyment. Serve this wannabe eviction and we sue." Randall's jaw tightened. "This meeting is adjourned." He banged the gavel so hard the flag toppled. The board filed out a side door. Homeowners gathered around Mara, peppering her with questions. I caught snippets. "Can he really fine us for basketball hoops? Does he pocket the money? Will this affect my refinance?" Mara raised a hand. "Meet me at Cal's place Wednesday night. I'll explain options." Lena and I exchanged hopeful glances. Phase 1, solid. Phase 2 started Tuesday morning when a tow truck clanked up behind my Tacoma. The driver, a lanky kid in an orange vest, hopped out. "Sorry, bud. HOA said your permit decal isn't visible." "I have no permit decal. Driveway's my property." He shrugged, chewing gum. "They're reimbursing me. Unless you got court papers, that truck's mine for the day." While stalling him, I speed-dialed Mara. She answered on the first ring. "Get his invoice." she said. "And record everything." Lena jogged over, filming with her phone while narrating like a true crime host. The tow truck operator is now hooking the winch. Cal looks appropriately skeptical. Eventually, the driver relented and called Randall, who sped over, face the color of ripe beets. Behind him, a black sedan rolled up. My buddy Dorian from college, now a sheriff's deputy. Mara had called him for a civil standby. If Randall wanted a scene, he'd get one with law enforcement witnesses. Randall sputtered about delinquent dues, mine were current, and community safety. Dorian remained impassive, one hand resting lightly on his duty belt. Finally, an HOA treasurer in a neon visor arrived waving a checkbook. He paid the tow truck to unhook and leave. Randall glared at the treasurer. "We'll recoup by fining him double." Dorian raised an eyebrow. "Generate fraudulent fines and the sheriff's department will consider it theft by deception." Randall stormed off. His SUV fishtailed, leaving the cul-de-sac. That evening, I printed 20 copies of every threatening letter I'd received, plus the towing invoice, and pinned them to a corkboard I bought at a craft store. With Lena's help, I set the board on an easel on my front lawn. On top, in thick Sharpie, "Is your HOA president harassing you? Come inside Wednesday, 7 p.m. Before long, neighbors trickled over curious. A retired couple, the Vasquezes, said Randall fined them for growing tomatoes in their side yard. Agricultural use. A single dad named Tyler showed his $200 citation for chalk drawings his kids made on the sidewalk. The more stories poured out, the more the group seethed. Wednesday night, Mara addressed 15 homeowners squeezed into my living room, perched on paint cans and upside-down moving boxes. She explained that HOA boards owe fiduciary duties, must follow open meeting statutes, and cannot exceed the scope granted by governing documents. She outlined a recall vote procedure and how to petition for a special meeting. "But Randall wrote the documents," someone said. "He'll find a loophole." Mara smiled. "Even loopholes have limits, plus we have the nuclear option, Superior Court injunction. I expected grumbles about legal fees, but folks passed a mason jar and dropped in 20s. By night's end, Mara had a $1,100 retainer. Phase 2, greener than expected. Phase 3 required evidence. If Randall really forged an unrecorded bylaw amendment, that was fraud. Lena, a whiz with graphic software, offered to compare Randall's newest documents to older ones for mismatched fonts or doctored signatures. We scanned every sheet the board had handed out, then overlaid them on transparent layers. Randall had copy-pasted entire sections, but one margin was 3 millimeters wider, a telltale sign of desktop cut and paste. Meanwhile, Mara subpoenaed the HOA bank statements. Turns out fines funneled into a discretionary beautification fund Randall controlled solo. Beauty apparently meant custom golf clubs and massage chair receipts. We needed a way to deliver this to homeowners en masse without giving Randall time to counterspin. The answer came from Tyler's chalk-loving kids. They suggested a block party movie night on the common green, the one patch Randall never watered because he claimed the irrigation budget was dry. We'd host a potluck, then screen a documentary we'd create. Over 4 long nights, Lena stitched together phone videos. Randall's key demand, the tow truck fiasco, Mara's legal briefing, and screenshots of suspicious bank withdrawals. Dorian supplied a calm voiceover he recorded on his patrol car mic during a slow graveyard shift. The result was a 15-minute exposé titled "Unlocking the Truth." Saturday at dusk, tiki torches lined the green. Picnic blankets spread out, crockpots steamed. Randall arrived, suspicious, but the smell of pulled pork seemed to mollify him. He perched by the lemonade table, chatting with his loyal treasurer. When the projector flickered to life against a taped-up bedsheet, Randall's smile froze. 1 minute in, we showed side-by-side shots of his amendment dates mismatched against county-filed dates. He edged toward the outlet, maybe to yank the plug, but Tyler's twins blocked the cord like pint-sized bouncers. The film concluded with Dorian's calm promise. "If any homeowner here feels threatened with wrongful eviction, contact the sheriff's department." Cheers and applause erupted. Randall retreated into the shadows. 10 minutes later, a hush fell. Randall strode back with an envelope, tried to shove it into my hands. "Consider yourself fined for unauthorized gathering on HOA property without permit." Mara appeared, cell phone recording. "Smile for the camera, Randall. That's retaliation under state law." Randall's fist crinkled the envelope. He spun on his heel, marched to his SUV, and tore out so fast the county deputy on traffic duty pulled him over for reckless acceleration. The crowd erupted in laughter. The next week was a whirlwind. Mara filed for a temporary restraining order preventing the HOA from collecting fines until our civil suit concluded. She also served the board with recall petitions sporting 80 homeowner signatures, more than enough to force a special election. Randall responded by papering mailboxes with glossy flyers. Protect property values. Stop the hostile takeover. The paper quality hinted at a pricey print shop. Footnote claimed dues paid for distribution. Talk about self-sabotage. Local gossip site Lakeview Chatter lit up. Posts titled HOA Tyrant Exposed and Free Tomatoes Anyone dominated the feed. Anonymized though they were, Randall knew exactly who #SkyBluePhotog84 my handle was. One drizzly Thursday morning, I caught Randall lurking near my backyard fence, tape measure in hand. I pressed record on my phone. "Measuring code violations," he said. "Your fence exceeds height limits. So did yours when you lived here. You never cut it. Rules evolve, unlike your leadership style." He scowled and scribbled on a pad. "Expect a citation." That evening, 2 yellow envelopes slid under my front door. One fined me $500 for structural nonconformity. The other, administrative processing fee of $50. Mara laughed until she snorted. "He's digging his own grave." Phase 4 was the showdown, the recall election scheduled for a Tuesday in late May inside the elementary school gym. Randall tried barring non-board members from counting ballots until Mara cited open meeting statutes again. 2 neighbors volunteered as neutral observers. Dorian, off-duty, sat in the bleachers for good measure. We voted by secret paper ballot. Every homeowner on record, even snowbird retirees, mailed in proxies. Mara verified signatures. At 8 p.m., Randall announced counting closed, then hovered over the tally table like a hawk guarding prey. The fishing vest guy, appointed counter, cleared his throat. Total votes cast, 137. Votes to retain Randall, 22. Votes to recall, 115. Silence. Someone coughed. A folding chair squeaked. Lena pumped a fist. "Bye-bye, Randy." Randall's face cycled crimson, then pale. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened again. Words finally emerged. I resign, effective immediately." He shoved the wooden gavel at the fish vest guy and walked out. Applause thundered. Someone began chanting, "Keys, keys, keys," and the room joined until the echoes rattled the basketball backboards. Outside, Randall sat in his idling SUV, staring at the steering wheel. I approached, Mara filming from a distance in case he lunged. I tapped the glass. He rolled it down 2 inches. "I'll expect a final closing statement of accounts within 30 days, I said, voice steady. "Return unused dues, too." He stared straight ahead. "You can't prove anything." "Fraud audit's already underway. Sleep tight." He rolled the window up and drove off, slower than usual. Phase 4 felt like victory, but we wanted closure. Enter Phase 5, the garage sale. With the HOA freed from Randall's grip, we scheduled a community event to raise funds for legal costs. Folks donated items Randall had fined them over. Tyler's chalk set, the Vasquez's tomato cages, Lena's infamous skeleton, now sporting sunglasses. We labeled the skeleton Board President Emeritus, take for free. Crowds came from neighboring subdivisions, drawn by curiosity and fresh-baked cinnamon rolls. We raised $4,000, enough to reimburse Mara's fees and plant drought-tolerant shrubs on the neglected green. We also hired a proper accountant to reconcile the books. He uncovered another $9,300 in questionable expenses and a mysterious PayPal transfer labeled Meditation Retreat. The county prosecutor opened an investigation. Randall lawyered up. Eventually, he pled no contest to misdemeanor fraudulent appropriation and paid restitution plus fines. His successor, fishing vest guy, real name Oliver, implemented term limits and transparent budgets. Keys remained firmly in homeowner pockets. My fence still stands, tomatoes flourish next door, and Tyler's sidewalk chalk now decorates the brand new playground funded by reclaimed dues. Occasionally, I spot Randall driving by, slower each time, as if the street no longer recognizes him. And me? I finally put real furniture inside. The air mattress retired to the attic. Most nights I swing on the porch and watch sunset shimmer over the lake, secure in the knowledge that the only keys to my house live in my jeans pocket and nowhere near Randall's clipboard. The morning after Randall's resignation felt like waking up in a house that had suddenly exhaled. No letters on the door, no mystery envelopes, no SUV idling at the curb. I brewed coffee, strolled the driveway barefoot, and smiled at our newly liberated cul-de-sac. Birds sang the world was right. By noon, the serenity cracked. Mara rang. "Brace yourself. Randall just filed a civil complaint in county court. He's suing you, me, and John Does One. 100 for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress." I nearly spilled French roast on the porch rail. "He's suing the entire zip code?" "Essentially," Mara said. "The filing lists all participants at an unauthorized mass gathering who viewed a defamatory film. That's half the subdivision." "What's his evidence?" "Screenshot of a meme somebody posted of him wearing a crown made of house keys." I snorted. "Tyler's kids again." Mara sighed. "We'll file an anti-slap motion. If we win, Randall pays our fees. But this means discovery. He'll have to turn over every scrap of HOA correspondence. Could help the criminal case." The word criminal chilled the summer air. Randall's misdemeanor plea for the beautification fund fiasco was pending sentencing. Adding perjury or obstruction would crank up the heat. That evening, I called an emergency porch huddle. Lena arrived first, yoga mat still strapped across her back. Oliver, our new interim HOA president, followed in cargo shorts carrying a plastic storage crate full of old meeting minutes Randall had forgotten to shred. Tyler brought brownies powdered with so much sugar his twins looked like they'd walked through a blizzard. We spread documents like crime scene photos. One binder contained spreadsheets titled Project Sunrise, line items, security surveillance, patrol stipend, key collection incentives. A section labeled Phase Implementation Eviction Protocol. Randall hadn't been tyrannical on a whim. He'd planned a wholesale key grab scheme from the jump, perhaps to flip vacant homes at foreclosure auction. "Look at this," Lena said, tapping a sticky note stuck to a budget printout. The note read, "Cal's Place Ideal Test Subject. Non-family, no local ties." A red underline highlighted non-family twice. My stomach twisted. All the randomness, tow trucks, fence citations wasn't random at all. I'd been the guinea pig in Randall's private social experiment. Oliver rubbed his temples. "We can show the prosecutor this. It shows intent. Might upgrade charges." Mara, looping in via speakerphone, agreed. "Photograph every page, chain of custody. I'll forward to the assistant DA." For the first time, the lawsuit felt less like a threat and more like a portal to sink Randall in his own paperwork swamp. The next week was discovery hell. Randall's attorney, gray-haired, bow-tied, rumored to bill by the quarter hour, served us each with 75 interrogatories. One asked me to list any and all harsh adjectives used in reference to my client within the past 12 months. I answered with a single line. See attached video evidence posted publicly by plaintiff. Mara stapled the link to Randall's own campaign flyers calling me hostile. Poetic justice via stapler. The bow-tied barrister also attempted a protective order to seal Randall's HOA financials. The judge, leaning back in his leather chair, simply lifted Mara's cease and desist, noted the existing fraud allegations, and denied the motion in 12 words. Randall's jaw ticked so hard you could smell enamel dust. Outside the courtroom, he cornered me near the vending machines. The hallway was empty except for a janitor buffing linoleum. "You think you've won," Randall hissed. "Courts move slowly, people forget. Momentum dies." I shook my head. "They forget tyrants slower than you think." He laughed, but it sounded like gravel stuck in a blender. "Enjoy your moment, Calvin. Summer ends. Storms come." He stalked off before I could formulate a comeback snappy enough for the history books. The janitor muttered, "Guy needs decaf." Storms indeed came, literal ones. Late August brought afternoon squalls that drenched the lakeside. One thunderous Tuesday, the power blinked out. I grabbed flashlights, checked on neighbors, and found Tyler's basement flooding from a clogged runoff drain. The one Randall was supposed to have serviced under last year's budget. Oliver and I yanked debris free while Tyler's twins frantically bucketed water. By midnight, we'd saved the furnace, but Lena's phone video of the whirlpooling drain became Exhibit A for the prosecution. Dues paid, work not performed. With power still out, Oliver called an impromptu HOA meeting in my living room by candlelight. We pushed sofas against walls, set LED lanterns on upside-down paint cans, and read through bids from local contractors for overdue maintenance. Total cost $38,700. Money the HOA technically had, if you subtracted Randall's massage chairs and meditation retreat. "We sue for restitution," Mara said, her face ghost-lit by her laptop. "Randall's insurance might cover some, but he'll still eat a chunk." "We could also crowdsource," Lena offered. "Run a Fix What Randy Broke fundraiser." Tyler grinned. "Sell skeleton t-shirts." We laughed, the candlelight dancing across relieved faces. Community forged in crisis tastes smoky, like burnt wick and old drywall, but it binds. September turned leaves bronze. Randall's misdemeanor sentencing loomed. The DA added 2 felony counts, filing false instrument and wire fraud, thanks to Project Sunrise docs. His plea deal evaporated. He now faced potential prison time. Rumors said he was scrambling to sell his lakefront mansion to pay legal bills. I should have felt giddy. Instead, a weird sympathy bubbled. No one starts life dreaming of becoming the neighborhood villain. Then I remembered the sticky note, non-family underlined twice, and sympathy drained away like last season's pool water. 2 nights before sentencing, my doorbell rang at 2 a.m. I jolted awake. Porch camera feed on my phone showed a hooded figure at the door, tall, broad-shouldered, carrying something shiny. My heart banged loud enough to rattle ribs. I dialed 911, whispered details, and stayed on the line until a squad car's red-blue bloom splashed the porch. Deputies found Randall crouched by my doorknob with a cordless drill. He claimed he was removing defective hardware for community safety. The drill battery was dead, karma in lithium form. They arrested him for attempted breaking and entering. By sunrise, local radio blared the news. Former HOA boss caught playing midnight locksmith. The story trended on the gossip site under #Randall the Burglar. Later that day, Randall's attorney begged the judge for bail leniency. My client was merely conducting a home safety survey. The judge, sipping water, replied, "At 2 a.m, with an uninvited drill, bail stands." Sentencing day became a neighborhood field trip. We filled 2 rows in the gallery, some wearing skeleton crown pins hand-drawn by Tyler's twins. Randall shuffled in, wrists cuffed, jumpsuit the muted orange of overripe cantaloupe. He looked smaller, like life had deflated him. The DA outlined the fraud totals: $23,941 siphoned for personal use, plus attempted illegal entry. Randall's lawyer begged for probation, citing a lifetime of public service. The judge wasn't buying. He spelled out the harm: abuse of trust, intimidation, putative evictions. Sentence: 18 months in state prison, 5 years probation, full restitution, and a 10-year ban from serving on any homeowners association board in the state. Gasps, then applause, muffled by the bailiff's glare. Lena squeezed my arm. Tyler wiped a tear of relief. Randall rose to speak. His voice, once booming, rasped, "I only wanted standards. I wanted perfection." The judge replied softly, "Perfection without consent is tyranny." Bang of gavel. Case closed. Life slipped into a gentler rhythm. We held our first HOA election under the new bylaws: term limits, financial transparency, quorum requirements. Oliver won president unopposed. Lena took secretary. Tyler, treasurer. I declined office but joined the landscaping committee, partly to keep my shutter finger busy photographing progress, partly to remind myself that community isn't a spectator sport. We tore out Randall's parched lawn and rolled in buffalo grass, turning the common green into an emerald theater where the neighborhood now watches Friday films. Unlocking the Truth got an encore. Tyler's twins sold popcorn in bags that read "No keys required." Randall's defamation suit collapsed under an anti-slap ruling, and the 48 grand fee order now hangs in Mara's office above the famous sticky note. Foreclosure trucks soon chewed through Randall's faux Tuscan mansion, while neighbors sipped coffee like parade day. Freed from agricultural use tickets, Mrs. Vasquez replanted heirloom tomatoes with lumber from the rubble and shared the first ripe fruit. The twins chalked a castle on the new sidewalk, doors too small for tyrants, with "Keep your own keys" under the drawbridge. Lena moved yoga classes to the lawn, inviting us to breathe out resentment. I finally finished sanding my porch swing. One night, Oliver asked if enjoying Randall's crash felt cruel. I pictured the midnight drill, bogus fines, and that red underlined non-family note, then said it wasn't downfall but restoration, like cleaning a camera lens. Somewhere upstate, Randall counted steps, meals, and hours with no keys at all. December brought cookies under newly fixed chandeliers, Dorian in patrol blues munching gingerbread, and a padded envelope from the Department of Corrections. Randall's apology, and a $1,000 cashier's check. We bought a lighthouse slide for the playground and engraved "Community Heals" on the donor plaque. No name needed. Spring shimmered off the lake when a young couple moved into Randall's old house. I greeted them with tomatoes, chalk, and skeleton crown cookies, handing one rule: your house, your keys. Certified letters and clipboards now felt like fossils. 3 years later, Deputy Counsel Pierce arrived during a storm, saying our saga had become a model case. A lobby group was slipping emergency key clauses into HOA bylaws statewide. Legislators wanted testimony. Mara sharpened my speech, Lena trimmed the story, and the twins drew a cartoon of Randall drilling into a house labeled All of Us. We caravanned to the Capitol beneath signs reading Our Homes, Our Keys. I told the committee how forged fines, tow trucks, and a dead battery drill nearly stole my home. Mrs. Vasquez, Lena, and Oliver added heart, breath, and numbers. The chair promised reform. Randall, hunting parole, flipped on the lobbyists, delivering a keys-to-cash email chain that wrecked their campaign. The Key Protection Act passed. Pierce texted a photo of the signature with the note, "You helped bolt this door shut." We celebrated with a Founders Day festival under a new arch carved Community First. A mysterious envelope brought a brass key stamped Courage. I hung it by the door. Surplus dues funded scholarships and Keykeeper's kids, while Revere the Skeleton hosted movie nights in Hawaiian shirts. At a national conference, I brandished the Courage Key and warned that unchecked power is daylight burglary. Applause shook the room. Randall eventually made parole, now seen handing receipts at a thrift shop. I filed him into my forgiveness meditation. At our harvest dinner, Oliver dropped a wooden key etched hope into a box already holding courage, trust, and community. I told the crowd hope is the first door we unlock when fear bolts the rest. The wind chimes Randall once despised sing over a porch swing smelling of cedar oil. I lock my door out of habit, then watch lake water mirror constellations as kids race scooters across chalk-bright sidewalks. We learned power tastes sweeter when shared, and the keys stay exactly where they belong. And that continues to be our quiet, well-locked happily ever after. No keys surrendered ever again. Friends, thank you. See you soon.